Hi everyone, welcome to yoga. And would you believe it, we're at the end of a block. So I hope you've enjoyed the last 6 weeks. And I wanted to let you know personally that I think I'm going to take a summer break. And it's probably going to be good for you as well because we fall out of our routines rather nicely in the summertime. We're a bit more spontaneous with the nice weather. But I'm pleased to say that I'll be launching classes on YouTube instead. Well, this is YouTube, isn't it? But what I mean is my public page. And that way you'll get a fortnightly class to practice, to dip into. Let's get started with today's practice. We've been working on the 6 main energy centres within the body. And today we're into perhaps the most subtlest of all, and that's the energy centre between the eyebrows, known as Anya Chakra, and it's said to be a place of quiet inner wisdom, which I think is a really nice place to find within ourselves. And you'll start to notice that we're moving from the physical to the subtle, which again is a nice place to discover within ourselves, the subtle aspects, the sort of finer aspects of our being. But we're going to have a little trip through the 6 main centres, and we actually will be doing quite a long meditation in this class, perhaps a bit longer than usual. Now, it's not a bad day, but it's a bit cooler than it's been, so have a fleece or a blanket handy, or you can grab one when we're ready to dive into that stage of the class. For just now, let's lie down in semi-supine, lying with our feet flat, and let's place our hands on our belly and allow the chin and the chest to sort of gently draw towards each other so that you feel a nice elongation through the back of the neck. And just take your awareness to the base of the spine and maybe just lengthen the tailbone away from you, just a fraction. And with your hands placed over your tummy, you can start to notice how the body accommodates an in-breath and how the body softens and makes room for the next in-breath with the exhale fully flowing from the body. And today we're going to really focus on the turning of the breath. So we have an inhale. The breath slowly turns to naturally become an exhale. It wouldn't be anything else. Followed by the fresh new inhale with that kind of turning point. Think about something vast, like a comet, moving through the solar system, and the way it sort of slings round the back of the sun, almost in this turning momentum on a giant scale, and then it's sort of slung back into space, and it turns on its return journey, sometimes years later, well, often years later, and back around the sun again. So you have these vast cycles, and you have the closer to home cycles, which is your breathing. Let's place our hands by the side of our body. Perhaps tuck your heels a tiny bit closer to your hips. Next time you have an in-breath, allow the arms to drift up and back, fingers touching the ground. Take the arms wide if you need to. Exhale, bringing the palms all the way back. Follow your breath now. Follow the rhythm. Now, the next stage is to contract the back of the throat ever so slightly so that you can hear the breath moving over the vocal cords. can witness the breath turning and let the breath vibrate over the vocal cords on the exhale. Now the next time, and this is the final stage in this, lift the hips and drift the arms behind you. Lengthen the tail away from you, engaging the back of the body. Exhaling, coming all the way back down. So we have these events, these transition events. The breath is transitioning from an inhale to an exhale. Today we are transitioning into the summer solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. It's 21st of June. So there is a moment in time when the sun is at its highest point on a global scale. Its most northerly point. And what does it give us from our little perspective here on the ground? Well, it gives us the longest day. And this is a moment in time. It's a transition. Some people view the transition points of the sun as an opportunity for something fresh and new. But there's a transition happening every time you breathe. You're becoming aware of it now through the breath. In this slow, deliberate way. Breath almost breaking into song over your vocal cords, or even brushing over the vocal cords like a sigh. So then the next time you come down, draw your knees up towards your chest, have one hand on each knee and the knees together, and then push the knees away from you. So you straighten your hands. No, you don't. You straighten your arms. And then you allow the knees to fall out to the side and roll them back up towards your chest. Do you remember the class that we did where we worked on the fluid moving nature of our being, the water within us, the fluidity of our movement? This is just a little gentle nod to that as you take your knees in the opposite direction. Wonderful. Okay, so a little trick that I've been working on doing outdoor yoga is getting my students, to grab onto the grass behind their, from the semi-supine position. Now, I would never advocate grabbing in yoga. It's not a very nice trait. However, I make an exception when we're outside. Now, if you're inside, you probably are, you've got no grass to grab onto, that's okay. Just bum shuffle down your mat a little and then lengthen back your arms so you can catch hold of the top corners of your mat, and that will give you some nice purchase. You're just holding onto the corners of your mat. Drift your knees up towards your chest, flex at the ankles, and allow your knees to cascade all the way down to one side, doesn't matter which one. And you've got this lovely stretch through the side of the body and a little bit of an anchor point at the top of your mat, and you're going to come all the way back up and go all the way over to the other side. Let the knees, if I wasn't wedged against the wall, you'd be letting the knees fall all the way down to the ground. Imagine, if it's not too corny to imagine something like this, that you're painting a rainbow with your knees. Why not? If this is too strong for your lower back, then drop your feet to the ground. Drop your arms by the side of the body if that's a modification that you'd like to adopt. So this is us firing up the belly now. The tummy muscles are doing quite a lot of work now. And this is our kind of center of fire, Manipura chakra, where we get a lot of our drive, from, or motivation. Gut feeling rests here too. Our gut feeling is never normally wrong. Good. Okay, let's drift the feet back down. Let go of grabbing onto your mat. Just allow the arms to drift back for a moment into the space behind you. And we're going to roll onto one side. And we're going to come into cat pose momentarily. But we're going to try the striking cobra now. It's a pose and movement that you've done quite a lot of, but not for a wee while. Arms are stretched out ahead of you, forehead resting towards your mat. Toes tucked under. Now come with me on an inhale as you lift the hips and come all the way forward. Flip back with your feet and lift the heart into cobra pose. Drop down into sphinx pose for something softer. And then head back. But it's a lot nicer if we include our breath on our journey. So breathing in as you come forward, lift the heart space, your center of compassion, empathy, and your ability to affiliate with others. Exhale back into swan. So this is our heart center that we worked on a couple of weeks ago. Now keep letting the breath vibrate over the vocal cords because that will sustain you nicely for today's class. Because you're all at home, you can make that breath as noisy as you wish without any inhibitions. Wonderful, well done. I'd like you to slide your hands towards you, and we're in a cat pose now. One of the great sort of aims in yoga is for us to lengthen our exhale. So we're going to do that in cat pose now. Now we breathe in and we drop the chest and we just look up, slightly through the eyebrows actually. And then as we exhale, allow it to be long and strong. Allow the breath to turn. And let the next breath flow in with the gaze up and the tail lifted. The tail's tucking under, the head is lowering, and you're bringing the chin towards the chest. So again, let the breath vibrate over the vocal cords. And this chin tucking in motion that we're doing is in line with the Vishuddhi chakra that we worked on last week. Our center of communication and listening. Listen into the breath now. Well done, everyone. Let's move back into child's pose. Take the pressure off your wrists and bring the back of your hands to the floor. If your forehead doesn't reach the ground, then it's quite nice to stack one fist on top of the other. Rest the forehead down onto the eyebrow center. And this is your quiet, yet vast space of inner wisdom. Just bring your gaze, inner gaze, to the eyebrow center. Excellent. Good. Okay, come back into cat, everyone. And let's step our right foot forward. Here we are in a narrow lunge, but we're going to tuck our back toe under. Step forward, so I want to see nice, soft, bendy knees. Keep your chin drawn in, keep your arms heavy and long as you come up to standing. Good. So a little quick canter through the energy centers again. Some of them may resonate with you and others maybe don't. I wouldn't worry about that. All we're trying to do in our yoga practice is give ourselves a little map to work with so that we can create lightness in these areas. Lightness or just a little bit of an awareness. It's nothing more than that, really. Okay, summer solstice. It would be rude not to salute the sun on the longest day in the Northern Hemisphere. So come to the front of your mat. Just lift your heels and toes and find a nice settling point from mountain pose to Tadasana. Let your attention land on the breath. Next inhale, drift your arms up. Exhale, forward bend. Move that back a little bit. In breath, looking up, lift the tail. And then an exhale back into plank pose. Tuck your elbows close to your ribs. Tuck your tail under and lower down. Inhale for cobra. Exhale, down dog. Okay, we won't do the warrior pose because what I want you to do is rather than worry about the transitions, I want you to focus on your breathing. So let's have a look forward. Take an inhale and either step or jump into your peapod position, but you're still in a forward bend. It's almost like a 3/4 forward bend. And then we can allow the out breath to help us deepen. We take the inhale and the arms out to the side. And the palms rest on an exhale. It's always nice to finish on an exhale. It's this life cycle. First thing we do when we're born is we breathe in, and the last thing we do when we die is an exhale. So this is just a complete cycle, a bit like the Earth's journey around the sun. It's just another cycle. It's a bit like the comet's journey around the back of the sun. It's also a cycle. We've got this cycle going on. It's wonderful. It's within us. It's part of us. Breath in, breath out. Breath in, plank, breath out. Breath in, cobra. Breath out, down dog. Tell you what, breath in, lift the right leg. Breath out, lower the right leg. Breath in, left leg. Breath out, lower the left leg. Breath in, step or jump forward bend. Breath out, forward bend, softening. Breath in, all the way up. Exhale to complete the cycle. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out for plank. Breath in for cobra. Breath out, down dog. Now let's just do a crescent moon now. So take your right foot forward, breathing in, drop the back knee. Breath out, tuck the back toe under, lift the knee for strong plank. Breath in for cobra. Breath out, down dog. Breath in, left foot forward. Drop the back knee, flatten the back foot. Breath out as you lift the back knee for strong plank. Breath in for cobra. Breath out for down dog. Breath in as you either step or jump forward. Delta wings, tail lifting. Exhale. Inhale. And palms together. Lower the arms to the side. Just allow your weight to dive down into the balls of the feet. Take your gaze nice and soft. Enjoy the space around you. Notice your breath. Travel with your breath in your mind's eye. So have we made a connection with our breath now? I have a feeling we have. Do we notice the wonderful turn in the breath, the transition? Come with me. Allow your weight to dive down your left leg and pivot your right big toe on the ground so that the knee swings out, but of course, where's it emanating from? It's emanating from your hip. Good. And if you want, you can lift off and you can plant the sole of the foot onto the calf. Maybe bring the palms together. Do use something to help you balance. And if you want to go a little stronger, you can either place the sole of the foot on the inside, leading with the heel, or you can cradle the foot and you can place the top of the foot by folding it round. Just watch the knee in this one. Palms together. Drift your arms up. Now, ask yourself, have you ever seen an intense tree? Possibly not. So we have a lovely, soft gaze. Link your thumb and index finger together. Strong back of the body, thighs moving out. Rest your gaze somewhere ahead of you as a focal point. No intensity, quite the reverse. Breath will have gone very quiet now, that's okay. Wonderful. Palms together. Whichever version you're in, you slowly drop the right foot. Good. Okay, let's pivot on the left big toe now. By all means, keep the toe there or up you go. Maybe you want to go a little higher. Do lead with your heel. Maybe you want to do the half lotus pose. Palms together. A few variations there. And have you ever seen the face of a tree? No. It's got a 360 personality. There's no front or back. Posterior, anterior doesn't exist in a tree. Just imagine the trunk of your body becoming 360, in all directions. There's no forward facing. There's no personality or persona to uphold. You're a tree. Back of the body is so strong in this pose. Well done, everybody. Front of the body is open. So yes, there perhaps is a difference, but we can engulf that lovely 360 feeling as we bring the palms together and lower the foot back down to the earth. I'm just having a little look at my lesson plan there. I think it's time for us to have perhaps a longer than normal meditation and relaxation. But we're physical beings, so we want to just ground ourselves a little. And what better than child's pose? We often fly through this pose a bit too casually, and I'm going to invite you to stay in it for just a little longer this time. Do support your forehead with your hands if you want the head to be a little raised. This is fine. In children's yoga, they sometimes, I think it's an American term, they call this pose the rock. Rocks go through cycles too. Incredibly slow cycles. Really well done, everyone. Let's place our hands in line with our chest and slowly come up to sitting. I'm going to advocate that we sit in a meditation pose today. So now would be a good time to either cozy up with a blanket or a fleece. Do rest against a wall, especially because most of you are all at home. Rest against a wall. And it doesn't matter if you move during your meditation. The important thing is that you move with awareness, okay? We don't have to be these serene, still beings. We don't even have to be cross-legged. We can be on a chair and we can support ourselves. We can have our legs stretched out or we can be kneeling. Place the back of the hands onto your knees, whichever position you happen to be in, and link the thumb and index finger together for Chin Mudra. And we're going to go into a two-part relaxation today. The first part is going to be sitting, using our Ujjayi breathing. So it's really important that we don't just rely on our mental faculties to guide us into this relaxation today. We're going to use the physicality of the breath. It's really going to help you in this meditation. It's going to take you to quite a meditation, by the way. It can be quite powerful. We think of meditation as being kind of all this kind of hanging out, kind of almost fast asleep, but it can be quite energizing, and we can help that meditative charge, if you like, by really focusing on the breath. Now, you won't have to focus on it for very long. I'm not going to, make this a massive test of endurance, but keep drawing your attention back to the breath, because attention will waver. We just, like a little, tether, we just bring it back in. Okay, two-part. This is the first part, where we're going to imagine that we really are the ocean. So physically, we're getting the breath involved in today's meditation. So let's make a start by gently contracting the back of the throat so that you can whisper the breath, the in-breath as you breathe in. Let it resonate, and as you breathe out, let the breath resonate. And we stick with this for at least another 5 rounds, okay? 5 ujjayi breaths. Probably start to notice how like breaking waves on a shore this breath is like. So let's add a little visualization, but stick with the physical element of your ujjayi breathing. As you breathe this beautiful soft ocean breath, I want you to visualize a sunny beach. And you're near the top of the beach where the sand is powdery and soft. But you start to walk towards the sea. The sand becomes a little wetter, and eventually it becomes flat and rather hard under your feet. And as you get closer to the water, you start to notice the imprint of the sole of your foot. 1 minute it's there, and then the next minute it's almost lifted out of the sand. And it strikes you as you get closer to the water that you could almost take a stick or your finger and draw a picture. Let's imagine that we draw a sun. Let's take our index finger and draw an imaginary sun in the wet sand next to the shore. Now imagine that your next in-breath is a wave, sort of a slightly larger wave than you'd anticipated. And it rolls with some velocity over the picture of the sun. And your exhale is the wave going back into the sea. And with it goes the image of the sun. The sun that you have created, that imprint, has been washed away. Stick with that for another few moments, using your powerful breath. Feel the breath in addition to this lovely, bright, sunny visualization. Stick with it another 2-3 breaths. Stick with it. Well done. So we're going to put this to some practical use now. Has there been something irritating you recently? Now, I want us to think about something that's just a bit of an irritant, something that's maybe slightly wasting your time, or maybe it's just a little bit of a draw on your energy, and make a visual imprint of that in the sand. As you breathe in your next strong ujjayi breath, the water of that visual wave goes over that imprint, however it was represented, and then the exhale washes it all away. It's gone. And repeat that again for any other little niggles that are simply that, simply niggles, because they can be a real waste of our energy. And let the breath move over it, and let the breath wash it away. Try that another 2 or 3 times. And then for one last time, this time I want you to notice how time almost stands still as the breath turns. Well done. As we maybe just stick with the idea of being on a beach. Maybe you've moved back up to the soft sand and you're going to roll onto the ground, stretch out your legs, turn the palms up towards the sun's warmth. And the sound of the waves is a little distant now. The vibrations are a little quieter and subtler. And this time, I'm going to invite you to focus on the turn of the inhale and the turn of the exhale. And just like today's summer solstice, that is a transition, just like your breath. Top of the inhale and at the end of the exhale. It's the same thing. It's a transition. But there is a moment in time where everything stands still. Notice that as you lie here in Savasana, that moment in time where everything stands still. And let's put this still space to good use. As you notice the pauses, the turning points of the breath, use this space to consider the things that you enjoy doing. To consider moments you've cherished and will cherish again in the future. Moments when contentment fills our very being, almost overspilling from us. And this vast, open, light space. The things we enjoy, the moments we cherish and have still to cherish. The contentment that fills us. And the vast open space. As you begin to deepen your breath, take a little bit of movement into the fingers and the toes. Well, you may not be watching this live, but this is being recorded on the day of the summer solstice, a major transition in our annual calendar, and a very visual representation of the Earth's journey around the sun. The sun, which will disappear from our view in Aberdeenshire, at least at 22:03 this evening. But remember, there are transitions every day with the sun's journey overhead. And there is a transition in every breath you take. And there is the turning point for something new. Every moment of every day. Have a stretch, have a yawn. Remember that you've got a long day to play with if the sun doesn't set until the back of 10, as you tuck in your knees and give yourself a hug. In your own time, slowly coming up to sitting and taking a deep breath in. Have a look up, bring your palms together and down by the centre line of the body. Thank you very much for joining me the last 6 weeks, and if you've been joining me all throughout however many lockdowns we've had. As I said at the beginning, I'm going to take a summer break now, but stick to the YouTube channel, the public site, and there will be a class roughly every fortnight for you to enjoy. I will be in touch with you all to let you know when the classes will restart, so look out for your inboxes for a message from me, and get in touch anytime you need to. Thank you, everyone. It's time to put out the lights on this little 12:30 class for the summer, and who knows, we may be back next term at the same time. We might try something different. Let me know what you would like, because these classes only work because of you and what you're after in your yoga practice. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.